Good morning and welcome to another Monday and my Monday messages. I hope you all had a fabulous weekend, enjoying the lovely spring weather. Actually, really summery weather it was yesterday here in Kerry, where I am. And I had a fabulous day being taken out to lunch by my lovely children and celebrating my motherhood and the motherhood of all women, whether you're literally mothers or not. All of those qualities that make us female, I would bundle together under the umbrella of mothering. So I hope that you were able to celebrate that, even if you were simply directing your mothering towards yourself. Who better? Anyway, so today, another beautiful day. And if you're joining me for the first time, my name's Rebecca. I'm a homeopath, I'm a holistic health coach or life coach, and a natural health advocate. And I come in here on a Monday really just to share any thoughts or practices or simple tips or anything really that I think will stimulate all of us to becoming more conscious of what works to help us to thrive as opposed to just survive. So any comments, please pop them below. I love to have a conversation with you. And if you're watching on the replay, don't think it's too late. It isn't. Do pop any thoughts that you might have in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about integrity. And it came up several times last week for me, both in people talking about me, but also me thinking about what I feel about other people. And the word integrity is quite an umbrella term to me. It's a bit of a blanket term. So I wanted to just unpick it a bit and to encourage you to, or invite you to get as familiar as you can with what it means for you. Because I believe that, like most things, we all have a slightly different perspective on what integrity means. So the first thing I did was I looked up, okay, what's the dictionary definition of integrity, somebody with integrity? And most definitions have a kind of generalized list. Someone who is honest, who is reliable, who makes difficult decisions sometimes, but decisions that adhere to a set of principles or some kind of moral code. And they're usually responsible, make very good employers and employees, and is something generally that we would all value as having ourselves and in others. So, when we feel that trust in somebody, somebody who we often will say, well, they're somebody who works from a place of integrity, and I can trust them. I can trust them to do the right thing. And doing the right thing no matter what the circumstances. So, whether someone's watching or not, basically, they will can always be relied upon to do the right thing. So those are all beautiful qualities. And when we really think about them, they're actually just the bones of something that needs a bit of fleshing out, I think. Because although we can often share those bones, understanding what they actually mean for us individually is going to help us enormously in understanding what our internal moral code actually is, what those principles are, because we all have a slightly different code, a different set of principles according to how we've experienced life up until now, what we've taken on from others, what beliefs we've put onto our experiences, and the values that are formed both from our formative years, from our caregivers, and any other people who have influenced us throughout our lives, including acquiring our own values, perhaps. And then that is what fleshes out those bones. And that list, too, can also change in its order. So, for example, if you had, let's say, honesty and kindness as two of the principles that form your own version of what having integrity means, then what comes first? What's the priority there? Is it more important to you to be kind than be strictly honest? You know, sometimes we can tell the truth in a very cold, matter of fact, okay, that's the truth. Sorry if it hurts you, but that's the truth. And often, if kindness is more important to us, then we will be able to find a way to still tell the truth, to not lie, but to actually be kind about it. So I wanted to actually just dig a bit deeper and ask you to perhaps journal on, okay, when I think about my own integrity, my own internal moral code or set of principles, what does that look like, or what does it feel like, more importantly? What words come up when I think of that? And roughly what order would they come in if I really had to choose? Is there a priority list? And when we do that, we become much more familiar with actually what drives a lot of our behaviour. So understanding that will enhance any consciousness of our own personal integrity. And incidentally, I really believe that we all have integrity. It's just that it doesn't always look the same as the next person's. So actually asking yourself, what do I feel like when I come across somebody who it appears is not a person of integrity because they're not really working in the same way that I do? Rather than actually concluding that they don't have integrity, maybe asking yourself or inviting yourself to perhaps understand that their version of integrity is actually a bit different from yours. But first of all, starting with getting familiar with how your own integrity works. So looking at those bones and fleshing them out. Now, what was the next thing I wanted to say? There was a second definition when I looked up integrity, and it's one that I think it sounds on first reading, it sounds a bit more generalized and not using very specific qualities. But for me, it's a very useful template for fleshing out those bones a little bit more. And that is that it is the state, so it's a state rather than a list of feelings, of being whole, of being undivided, of being integrated, and self-aware, self-conscious, of having all the different parts of us working as one when they need to. So of working from a place where head and heart work together, where left and right brain work together, where our female and our male sides work together. And all the different parts of us have something that enables us to sustain a place where we know what is the right thing for others, but also for ourselves and for our own basic humanity. And it's when we don't work from that place of integration that things don't really feel right. And we can make all kinds of decisions and behave in certain ways that, excuse me, are not congruent with that very integrated, conscious place that we all want to be in, actually, ultimately, I think. And everything we do to enhance our health, whether that's physical, emotional, or spiritual, enhances that sense of integration. Thank you very much for the hearts. So I think that is the place for all of us to be mindful of, working towards always. Good morning, Noreen. You're very, very welcome. So just talking about integration and integrity. And I know you have oodles of that, Noreen. So maybe you've got something you would like to add to today's message. But that was really my message, was to really get familiar with what having integrity actually means to us as individuals, and to also ask how that works for us when we have to make difficult decisions. Does it actually support us in making decisions that we know, that we feel really in every fibre of our body is, yes, that is the right thing to do? Or does it cost us too much? There was an old advertising guru that I used to follow, because I used to work in advertising, and he said a principle isn't a principle until it costs you something. And that's often what people understand by having integrity is all about, in that, if you're working to that moral code, whatever it is, that it may sometimes mean that you're a little bit unpopular with people, or that people struggle to understand why you're making the decision that you're making. And being okay with that helps us to be stronger and to mind ourselves. And when we're minding ourselves, actually, we're minding everyone else as well. I really believe that. It sounds, that can trigger, I know, the word selfish, all of those things. So just inviting you to really dig deep on the journaling side of what integrity means and what your internal moral code is. And do you have a broad one that covers everything? Or perhaps do you have a slightly different one? All those qualities are in a different order when we're thinking about who we are at work, when we run our businesses, when we are in the role of health practitioners. Maybe that's slightly different from when you're a parent, say, or when you're dealing with some other aspect of life. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that is pretty much the same no matter what you do. But as long as it comes from a place of integration, where you feel there's no bits of you getting left behind, then I think that's the place to, I was going to say strive for. Strive sounds like it's too much like hard work. But I think when we become familiar with these things, the more conscious we are of what drives us and what enables us to feel safe, comfortable, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of creativity, connected, collaborative, and that we have some higher purpose, if you like. When all those things are all in line and they're all working as they should in a healthy, integrated way, then that means that we can then access all those external resources that are out there in a far more meaningful way. So I hope that makes sense. And I invite you to just spend some time in the sun maybe this week, just musing on what your own personal integrity looks like to you. And also perhaps asking whether being regarded as a person of integrity is important to you. Is that one of your values? Or is it more about how you regard yourself? When we feel that we are acting from a place of integrity, then, well, I can only speak from my personal experience, but I know I feel more integrated. So it's kind of circular. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So that was my message. So enjoy the sun. I hope I've made sense. Get really familiar with your own personal moral code, whatever that is. And hopefully a code that, yes, it could be immovable in its broader sense, but is soft enough to be a little bit fluid and adaptable so that you can reshuffle that order of qualities when it's called for. I mean, for example, you wouldn't necessarily be working to the same order when you're dealing with a small child as you are when you're dealing with a full-grown adult. I can't think of a situation at the moment to illustrate that, but I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I think fluidity is always good. Being able to reorder and reshuffle when the situation demands, but you still have those bones in place. Okay, so that's it. Enjoy the sunshine. Have a wonderful week. And good morning, Sandra. I think you're watching as well. And if you do have anything that you need to add to that, or you have any experiences where your own personal integrity has enabled you to make good decisions, or perhaps the reverse, that it's made you a little bit unpopular, that it's cost you something, how do you feel about that cost now? Was it worth it in the long run? Or could it be an invitation to relook at that integrity and see how it's working for you? Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week. And if you do want more information on how I work, then do just click on the link with this video. Thanks very much. Bye.